Hello and welcome, future facilitators. If you're here, you're getting ready to guide other educators through a really powerful shift in how they teach writing. Think of this as your personal guide to Module 2. We're going to break down the core philosophy and give you the key talking points you'll need to train others on the WriteBridge method with total confidence. Okay, so let's start with a feeling we all know, right? Why does teaching writing so often feel, well, chaotic? For students, it's that dreaded blank page staring back at them. For teachers, it's the constant struggle to figure out how to give feedback that's actually clear and helpful. That feeling of being totally overwhelmed, that is the exact problem WriteBridge was designed to solve.
And this slide, this is where you see the big shift in thinking. On the left, you've got the struggle, right? It's all vague feelings, kids who have no idea where to start. But look what happens when you bring in a method. Suddenly, everything on the right side becomes possible. Expectations get clearer, tasks actually feel manageable, and writing becomes a process that you can learn. This isn't about killing creativity, it's about giving it a roadmap.
And that roadmap, that's the central idea you're going to use in your trainings. You can literally think of WriteBridge as the GPS for writing. It just clears away all that fog of a blank page, but without making the journey any less rigorous. It gives everybody, both the students and the teachers, a clear path from point A to point B.
Okay, so let's start with the real foundation. Section 1. What is WriteBridge Pro? We're about to dig into the core philosophy, the big ideas that drive this entire method.
This definition right here, this is your cornerstone. WriteBridge is a framework for making writing more visible, more manageable, and more teachable. And the real insight here is that we're not just teaching kids how to write the next essay. No way. We're building writing habits that they can take with them everywhere. To history class, to a science lab report, and eventually into their careers. We're taking that invisible process of thinking and we're making it visible.
So when a teacher in your training asks, okay, but what do you really mean by structured? This slide is your answer. You can tell them it's the difference between giving a kid a one-off assignment and teaching them a repeatable sequence. It's about shifting from a vague expectation to a reliable routine. This is how you build consistency across a school without it ever feeling like a rigid, boring script.
And this is the promise. You have to be clear about this. We're not selling some magic wand that perfects a single essay. The real promise of WriteBridge is sustainable growth over the long haul. It's all about building stronger, more confident writers, month after month, year after year, through teaching that is consistently structured, supportive, and, most importantly, clear.
All right, so that's the what and the why. Now for Section 2. How the method actually works. Let's pull back the curtain and really see these principles in action. What does this look like, and what does it feel like in a real classroom? At the very heart of WriteBridge is this simple but incredibly powerful cycle. Model, practice, reflect. It's so good. First, the teacher actually models their own thinking process out loud. Then the students get to practice that exact same skill, but with the teacher right there to help. And finally, everyone, the teacher and the students, reflects on what worked and why. It's this cycle that turns writing from some big mystery into a skill that anyone can actually learn.
And holding up that cycle are these 4 core principles. We use explicit strategy instruction. We don't just hope kids pick it up. We teach them the moves that real writers make. We use a gradual release of responsibility. The classic I do, we do, you do. And we're constantly using formative assessment and great mentor texts to make sure what we're teaching is always connected to what our students really need right now.
Now, this here is one of the method's superpowers. I mean, think about it. How many times have you written "say more" or "add more detail" on a student's paper? What does that even mean to a teenager? WriteBridge gets rid of that vague feedback by giving students a whole toolkit of concrete, teachable strategies for how to develop their ideas. It's a game changer.
And here's another critical piece of the puzzle. We teach students to think like builders. Instead of trying to do everything at once, they learn how to construct their writing one solid piece at a time. You lay the foundation, you put up the frame, then you do the finishing touches. This approach stops them from getting overwhelmed and shows them that great writing is built. It's not just something you're born with.
So what's the bottom line? What's the end result of all this work? Well, that brings us to Section 3, the payoff. Let's talk about the real, tangible gains for both the students in the classroom and the teachers you're going to be training.
For students, the payoff is it's transformational. It all starts with confidence. For the first time, maybe, they have a process they can actually trust. From there, they build this amazing toolkit of strategies. But the real goal is even bigger. They start to develop metacognition. They actually start thinking like writers, making conscious, deliberate choices about their work. And the gains for teachers are just as huge.
It all kicks off with a shared language. I mean, imagine the entire English department, maybe even the whole school, using the same terms, the same approach. It totally changes the game for collaboration. It leads to practical lesson plans, sharper assessment, and a real common framework for supporting every single student.
Now, in your trainings, you will absolutely get this question. Someone will say, I've seen other writing programs, so what makes this one different? Let's make sure you have a super clear answer for them. And this is probably the most important distinction you can make. WriteBridge is not a rigid, scripted curriculum that puts teachers in a box. It's a flexible framework that respects their professional judgment. It's also not a one-and-done workshop. It's a method you use over the long term, and it's all about the writing process, not just the final product.
Really, it all comes down to finding this perfect balance. On one side, you have this consistent, shared system that brings a school together, but on the other side, you have empowered teachers using their judgment. The method provides the system so that teachers can pour their energy and expertise into adapting for the real, live kids sitting right in front of them.
This quote right here, this says it all. You can use this as a powerful touchstone in your trainings. WriteBridge is a tool that is designed to enhance and strengthen a teacher's professional expertise, never, ever to replace it.
So we'll end with the question you should be asking yourself, and the question you'll eventually leave with your trainees. How could this roadmap truly transform the culture of writing at your school? Your job as a facilitator is to empower them to see the answer to that question. Thank you so much for taking on this important work. Now, go be the guide.